Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be diving into the world of AI,
Okay.
specifically China's AI scene.
Yeah.
We hear a lot about the big players in the US,
Right.
but there's this company called DeepSeek,
Mm-hmm.
and they're really shaking things up and challenging a lot of the assumptions about how AI is developed.
It's a fascinating story.
Yeah.
DeepSeek is this relatively unknown Chinese AI lab, and they've managed to build a model that rivals some of the top AI models globally.
Really?
But they did it on a shoestring budget and in record time.
So wait, let's break this down because that
Yeah.
sounds almost impossible.
Right.
We're talking about a company that spent about $5.6 million
Right.
over 2 months
Yeah,
to develop their DeepSeek V3 model.
that's right.
Now compare that to OpenAI, which
Yeah.
reportedly spends something like $5 billion annually.
Yeah. It's David versus Goliath.
Yeah.
But in this case, David is packing some serious heat.
Yeah, they're not messing around.
The performance of DeepSeek V3 is not a fluke. It's actually outperformed models from big names like Meta's Llama,
Oh,
OpenAI's GPT-4o,
okay.
and even Anthropic's Claude 2 Sonnet 3.5.
Wow.
And that's not all.
Okay.
They've also built a reasoning model called R1.
Okay.
And it's giving OpenAI's cutting-edge O1 model a run for its money in certain tests.
So how did they do this?
Right.
I mean, with such limited resources, that's the million-dollar question.
It appears that the U.S. restrictions on high-powered chips,
Uh-huh.
which were intended to slow down China's AI progress, may have inadvertently sparked a wave of innovation.
Okay.
DeepSeek, for instance, they used NVIDIA H800s,
Okay.
which are less powerful than the top-tier H100s.
Gotcha.
They essentially have shown that efficient use of resources can sometimes be more impactful than just throwing raw computing power at a problem.
I mean, it's a classic example of how constraints can breed creativity.
Right.
When you're forced to work within limitations, you have to think outside the box
Yeah.
to find new ways to achieve your goals.
Now, DeepSeek itself is a bit of an enigma. Unlike U.S. companies like OpenAI and Anthropic, which are very transparent about their missions and their principles,
Yeah.
DeepSeek operates in a shroud of secrecy.
Interesting.
We know very little about the lab or about its founder, Liang Wenfeng.
It definitely adds a layer of mystery to it.
It does.
What do you think about this secrecy?
Yeah.
Is it a strategic move?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a cultural difference?
It's hard to say,
Yeah.
but it does make you wonder,
Right.
if there's a deliberate strategy behind it.
Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to avoid scrutiny while they're perfecting their technology.
Okay.
Maybe it's just a different approach to intellectual property and competitive advantage.
It seems like DeepSeek is just the tip of the iceberg, though.
Yeah.
I've been reading that there's a surge in other Chinese AI players
Mm-hmm.
who are achieving really impressive results,
Yeah.
often with limited resources.
Right.
Have you come across any of these companies in your research?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
One that comes to mind is Kai-Fu Lee's 01.ai.
Okay.
They achieved unicorn status incredibly quickly,
Wow.
and they're known for their remarkably cost-effective approach to model training.
That's impressive.
And then you have companies like Alibaba,
Okay.
which is making waves with its Quen model.
Mhm.
They're focusing on making large language models more affordable and more accessible to developers.
So it seems like a very dynamic and competitive AI landscape in China.
Extremely competitive.
Do you think this means that the perceived lead of U.S. AI labs is shrinking?
It does.
I mean, for years we've heard about the dominance of Silicon Valley in AI,
right.
but this seems to challenge that narrative a little.
It does.
Yeah.
Even Eric Schmidt,
Okay.
who's the former CEO of Google,
Right.
he once believed that China was years behind in AI.
Mm-hmm.
He's recently acknowledged that they've caught up significantly.
Really?
He's even admitted that the U.S. could be just 2 years ahead,
Wow.
which is a stark contrast to his previous estimations.
Yeah, that's a pretty big admission coming from him. It seems like DeepSeek's approach is even more radical when you consider that they've made their model open source.
Mm-hmm.
That means that developers around the world have free access to their technology,
Right.
which could have massive implications.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a potential game changer.
Yeah.
Imagine the possibilities if developers globally
Yeah.
can take DeepSeek's model, modify it,
Yeah.
adapt it to their own needs and applications.
Right.
This could lead to just an explosion of innovation
Yeah.
and make AI technology more accessible than ever before.
It almost sounds too good to be true.
Yeah.
What's the catch?
Well, one concern is that open source by its very nature can always be revoked.
Oh, okay.
There's no guarantee that the current open source license will remain in place indefinitely.
I see.
So
That's a really good point.
there is that element of uncertainty
Right, yeah.
for developers who might be relying on this technology.
But beyond the technical aspects, I think it's important to discuss the potential impact of China's AI advancements
Yeah.
on global narratives and information control.
That's a crucial aspect to consider.
Yeah.
Studies have shown that Chinese AI models
Right.
often censor sensitive topics
Mm-hmm.
like the Tiananmen Square protests or any criticism of political leaders.
Yeah, it's a sobering reminder that AI can be used not just for progress,
Right.
but also for control and manipulation of information.
Right. The concern is that as Chinese AI models become more prevalent,
Mm,
we might see a rise in what some experts call autocratic AI.
okay.
Essentially, AI systems designed to reinforce authoritarian values and control narratives.
That brings us to a really important question.
Yeah.
What does all of this mean for companies like OpenAI,
Right.
which have really been at the forefront of AI development?
They've been leading the charge.
To get some insights on that, we turn to Aravind Srinivas.
Yeah.
He's the CEO of Perplexity.
Mm-hmm.
His perspective is interesting because Perplexity is known for being model agnostic.
Right.
So they're not tied to any specific AI model or developer, which gives them a unique viewpoint on this whole evolving landscape.
It does.
What stood out to you from Srinivas' analysis of DeepSeek?
Well, first and foremost, he was genuinely surprised by DeepSeek's innovation.
Okay.
He emphasized that their success wasn't just about copying existing models.
Gotcha.
They made some really clever choices.
Okay.
And they developed some novel solutions that challenged his own assumptions about AI development.
Interesting.
Perplexity was so impressed
Yeah.
that they've actually started incorporating DeepSeek's model into their own system.
Wow. So that's a pretty strong endorsement coming from someone who's building in this space.
Absolutely.
I remember reading that Srinivas initially thought building his own AI models
Right.
would be too expensive.
Yes.
But DeepSeek proved that it could be done efficiently.
Yeah,
So it's like a real wake-up call for the industry.
it is.
Like it's not just about throwing money at the problem anymore.
That's right.
Did Srinivas offer any thoughts about how OpenAI might be reacting to DeepSeek's rise?
He did.
Oh.
They observed that OpenAI seems to be shifting its strategy.
Very
Instead of just focusing on building bigger and bigger models,
Right.
they're now emphasizing reasoning capabilities.
Okay.
Their O1 reasoning model is a good example of that.
So it's like the AI field is moving beyond that brute force approach
It is.
of just scaling up models.
Yeah,
Now it's about developing models that can think more critically, analyze information,
Right.
solve complex problems.
that's right.
But if reasoning is the new battleground,
Yeah,
can OpenAI maintain its lead?
that's the big question.
Yeah.
Srinivas believes that DeepSeek is likely to turn its attention to reasoning as well. I mean, they've already demonstrated their ability to innovate
right.
and develop highly capable models with limited resources.
Yeah, it sounds like OpenAI's lead might be temporary.
It's possible.
What does Srinivas think about OpenAI's reliance on venture capital, especially now that DeepSeek has shown that you don't need billions of dollars to be competitive?
Yeah, that's a great point. Right. He pointed out that OpenAI,
Yeah.
unlike companies like Google or Amazon, doesn't have a diverse revenue stream to support its AI work.
Okay.
They're heavily reliant on external funding, which makes them very vulnerable to shifts in the investment landscape.
Right.
What if investors start prioritizing efficiency
Yeah.
and return on investment? OpenAI's model could become unsustainable.
That's a really valid concern.
Yeah.
And, if DeepSeek continues to improve its models
Right.
and attract more developers to its open source ecosystem,
Mm-hmm.
then OpenAI's strategy of relying on these massive capital infusions
Right.
could become a liability.
Exactly. And that brings us to another challenge for OpenAI.
Okay.
DeepSeek's open source approach.
Right.
OpenAI has historically been more closed.
Uh,
They tightly control access to their models.
Yeah.
But now they're facing competition from this
Yeah.
highly capable model that's freely available to anyone.
So it creates this tension
It does.
between closed proprietary systems
Right.
and open collaborative ones.
Yeah. How do you see this playing out?
Yeah, how does Srinivas see this playing out?
He believes that OpenAI will need to find ways to justify
Okay.
the value proposition of its closed models.
Yeah.
They'll need to offer something unique,
Okay.
whether it's superior performance,
Right.
specialized features,
Gotcha.
or a higher level of support.
So they need to demonstrate a clear advantage
Yes.
that outweighs the benefits of using a free and open source model like DeepSeek.
Exactly.
Now, this whole situation raises an interesting question about competitive advantages in the AI industry.
Mm-hmm.
What are the moats, so to speak, that can protect a company
Yeah,
in this rapidly evolving landscape?
that's a great analogy.
A moat, in business terms,
Yeah,
refers to a competitive advantage
right.
that protects a company from rivals.
Yeah.
Traditionally, in the tech world, moats have been built
Uh-huh.
through things like patents,
Mm-hmm.
network effects,
Right.
or economies of scale. Yeah. But do those traditional moats still apply in the AI world?
Srinivas believes that they might not be as effective.
Okay.
He sees OpenAI's current moat as its lead in reasoning capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
But as we've discussed, that lead might be temporary
Right.
as more efficient techniques
Yeah.
for developing reasoning models emerge.
Okay.
OpenAI's advantage could very quickly disappear.
So if traditional moats aren't as reliable in the AI industry,
Mm-hmm.
what will this new competitive landscape look like?
Right.
What will determine success in this new era of AI?
Srinivas predicts that the next phase of AI development will be characterized by a few key factors.
Okay.
First, we'll see a much greater emphasis on the smarter utilization of resources.
Yep.
Companies will need to find ways to achieve high performance with less computational power,
Gotcha.
much like DeepSeek has done.
So it's all about efficiency then?
Exactly.
Okay.
Second, open source collaboration will play a much more prominent role.
Mm-hmm.
We're already seeing this with DeepSeek. But I think we'll see many more open source models emerging, and that will foster rapid innovation and wider adoption of AI technologies.
It's almost like the power dynamics are shifting a little bit.
They are.
You know, open source has the potential to level the playing field
Absolutely.
and give smaller companies and independent developers a chance to compete with these giants
That's right.
who have traditionally dominated the AI landscape.
Yeah.
And third,
Yes.
there will be a stronger focus on real-world applications.
That's right.
It's no longer enough to just build impressive models in a lab.
Mm-hmm.
Companies will need to demonstrate how their AI can solve practical problems and deliver tangible benefits.
Real world value.
So we're moving away from theoretical AI
We are.
and towards more practical and applied AI.
That's right.
What does this mean for the broader landscape of AI development?
Well, I think we're witnessing a democratization of AI.
Okay.
Access to these powerful tools is no longer limited to a select few well-funded companies. This could lead to a surge of innovation coming from unexpected places.
That's exciting.
It is.
It brings to mind all sorts of possibilities, but also some potential challenges.
It does.
I mean, if AI becomes more accessible and more widely adopted,
Right.
how do we ensure that it's used responsibly?
That's a crucial question.
Yeah.
And one that Srinivas addresses directly in his interview.
Okay.
He delves into some really thought-provoking topics,
Uh-huh.
including the role of open source,
Okay.
the challenges of monetization in an era of free and powerful AI tools,
Right.
and the evolving relationship between developers and advertisers.
Should we dive into those insights?
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm particularly interested in hearing his thoughts on the open source movement
Mm-hmm.
and its potential impact on the future of AI.
Yeah, it's a fascinating topic.
Okay, let's jump in.
All right.
So let's dive into Srinivas' thoughts on open source.
Okay.
It's clearly a driving force in the AI world right now,
Yeah,
but it's not without its complexities.
it's not. There's a lot to unpack there.
Right.
Srinivas acknowledges both the immense potential and the potential pitfalls
Okay.
of open source and AI.
Yeah.
On the one hand, he sees it as a powerful engine for innovation.
Okay.
You know, when you make powerful tools freely available,
Mm-hmm.
you empower developers all around the world to experiment, to build upon each other's work,
Right.
and to create things that might not have been possible otherwise.
Yeah.
You can really accelerate the pace of progress.
It sounds like open source could really level the playing field
It does.
and give smaller players a chance to compete
Yeah,
with the giants who have traditionally dominated this AI landscape.
that's a key point.
Yeah.
But Srinivas also raises concerns about over-reliance
Yeah.
on any single source,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to something as powerful and potentially influential as AI.
Right.
What if, for instance, a particular open source model becomes the dominant platform,
Right.
but it's primarily developed and controlled by one country or one company?
Mm.
That concentration of power could have unforeseen consequences.
It makes sense. It's like putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak.
It is.
And we've already touched on the fact that open source licenses can be revoked.
Yeah, that's right.
So even if a model is freely available today, there's no guarantee that it will remain that way in the future.
Right, and that's why Srinivas stresses the importance of a
Hmm.
robust and diverse AI ecosystem.
Hmm.
We need contributions from researchers, developers, and policymakers
Okay.
from all over the world,
Yeah,
representing a wide range of perspectives and
I
values.
see.
This diversity is essential
Okay.
to mitigate the risks of bias, to ensure that ethical considerations are prioritized,
Right.
and to create AI systems that reflect a broader range of human values.
So it's like, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly.
Spreading the development of AI across different companies, cultures,
Yeah,
could help prevent any one entity from having too much control.
absolutely. Now, Srinivas also brings up another interesting point about the open source model.
Yeah,
He talks about the challenges of monetization.
right.
In an era of free and powerful AI tools,
Yeah, that's a big question.
how do you build a sustainable business
Uh,
when your core product is essentially free and widely accessible?
that's the billion-dollar question for a lot of tech companies these days.
Is
Users have become so accustomed to free access to powerful tools,
right.
but somebody has to pay the bills.
Somebody does. So Srinivas believes
Yeah.
that finding a balance between delivering value to users
Okay.
and generating revenue is really crucial.
Mm-hmm.
He mentions that Perplexity is experimenting with different advertising models
Okay.
that prioritize user experience and information integrity.
Okay.
They want to make sure that advertising doesn't compromise
Yeah,
the quality or the objectivity of the information that their AI tools provide.
that's a tough balancing act.
It is a delicate balancing act.
You don't want to bombard users with intrusive ads,
Right.
but you also need to generate revenue to keep the lights on
Yeah.
and to continue developing this cutting-edge technology.
Exactly. And this leads to a broader discussion
Okay.
about the impact of AI on various industries and aspects of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Srinivas, for instance, shares his thoughts
Yeah.
on how AI is likely to transform fields like education, healthcare, and even creative industries.
It sounds like AI is going to touch every aspect of our lives in some way.
It is.
It's exciting, but also a little bit daunting.
It is. Srinivas acknowledges both the incredible potential of AI to improve our lives
Right.
and the potential challenges we need to anticipate and address.
Yeah.
For example, in education,
Yeah.
AI could personalize learning experiences
Right.
and provide students with more tailored support.
Mm-hmm.
But we also need to think about the role of teachers in an AI-powered classroom
Okay.
and how to ensure that AI doesn't exacerbate existing inequalities in access to education.
It's not just about embracing the technology.
Right.
It's about thinking critically about how we integrate it into our lives in a way that benefits everyone.
That's a key point, and that's really the key takeaway
What's
from
up?
Srinivas's insights.
Yeah.
AI is not just a technological advancement.
Right.
It's a reflection of our values and a catalyst for societal transformation.
Yeah.
The choices that we make today will determine the kind of future that we create with AI.
So as we kind of wrap up this portion of our deep dive into the world of DeepSeek and China's AI revolution, what are some of the key things that you hope our listeners will take away from this conversation?
I think there are a few really crucial points.
Okay.
First, the landscape of AI development is changing rapidly.
Okay.
The old model of just throwing money at the problem is
Yeah.
being challenged by
Yeah.
this new wave of innovation that prioritizes efficiency, collaboration, and real-world applications.
Yeah.
DeepSeek's success is a powerful example of that.
It really is. It's a reminder that innovation can come from unexpected places
It can.
and that resourcefulness can be just as powerful as deep pockets.
Absolutely. Second, the rise of China's AI capabilities is a signal
Okay.
that the global AI landscape is becoming more multipolar.
Right.
We're moving away from a world where one country or one region dominates the field.
I see.
This underscores the need
Right.
for greater international collaboration and a more diverse range of perspectives in AI development.
It's a reminder that AI is a global phenomenon,
It is.
and its future should really be shaped by a global community.
Absolutely. Third, open source is playing an increasingly important role in AI, and that trend is likely to continue.
Okay.
This has the potential to democratize access to powerful AI tools,
Yeah.
but it also raises some important questions about control governance
Right.
and the long-term sustainability of these open source models.
It's exciting to see the potential of open source to accelerate innovation,
Yeah.
but it's also crucial to be aware of the potential challenges
Mm-hmm.
and to think critically about how we manage this technology responsibly.
I couldn't agree more. And finally, I hope listeners come away from this conversation
Yeah.
understanding that AI is not just about technology.
Right.
It's about people.
Okay.
It's about values and the kind of future that we want to create.
Yeah.
We need to have thoughtful conversations
Yeah.
about the ethical and societal implications of AI
Okay.
and ensure that its development and deployment align with our shared human values.
Really well said. It's a call to action for all of us to engage in these conversations.
It is.
To be informed
Yeah.
and to think critically about the choices we make
Yeah.
in this rapidly evolving technological landscape.
It is a rapidly evolving landscape. It is a rapidly evolving landscape.
So it seems like a lot of people are concerned about the future of AI.
Yeah.
But it also seems like Srinivas is pretty optimistic about what this means for humanity.
He sees the immense potential of AI.
Okay.
And he really believes that we can harness its power
Okay.
to create a better future.
Right.
But he emphasizes that we have to be proactive.
Okay. About shaping that future.
Yeah.
We can't just sit back
Right.
and let the technology develop on its own.
Right. We have to make conscious choices
Exactly.
about how AI is developed,
Yeah.
how it's deployed,
Right.
and how we govern its use.
It's about aligning the technology with our values.
I think that's a really important takeaway.
It is.
You know, technology itself is neutral,
It is.
but it's the choices that we make as a society
Yeah.
that determine whether it's used for good or for ill.
I completely agree.
So I think it's important to highlight some of those potential challenges
Okay.
that we need to be thinking about as AI continues to evolve.
Yeah, definitely.
One of the biggest concerns is the potential for AI to exacerbate existing inequalities.
Absolutely, if we're not careful.
Right.
AI could actually widen the gap between the haves and the have-nots.
Right.
For example, in the job market,
Okay.
AI could automate away many jobs that are currently held by low-skilled workers.
Right, which could lead to even higher levels of unemployment and poverty.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay, so we need to think about things like job retraining programs,
Yeah.
social safety nets,
Right.
to help those who are displaced by AI-driven automation.
Those are crucial considerations.
Another concern is the potential for bias in AI systems.
Absolutely.
AI algorithms are often trained on massive data sets
Right.
that reflect the biases of the real world.
Yeah.
And if we're not careful, these biases can be amplified in AI systems.
Leading to unfair or discriminatory outcomes.
Exactly.
Or
So it's really important to make sure that these AI systems are being developed and trained on data sets that are representative of diverse populations.
yeah, and that those data sets are carefully audited for bias.
And I think it's also crucial to have diverse teams of people working on these AI systems.
Absolutely.
People with different backgrounds, different perspectives, because they can help to identify and mitigate those biases.
It's all about bringing those diverse perspectives to the table.
And then there's the issue of privacy.
Right.
AI systems often collect and analyze vast amounts of personal data.
Yeah.
And it's really important to safeguard that data.
Yeah.
Make sure that it's not being used for purposes that people haven't consented to.
We need strong privacy regulations
Right.
that give individuals control over their data.
And transparency from companies
Yeah.
about how that data is being collected,
Absolutely.
used, and protected.
People need to know how their data is being used.
And finally, there's the big existential question.
The big one.
The potential for AI to become so intelligent,
Yeah.
so powerful, that it poses a threat to humanity.
Right.
Now, this is obviously a topic that's been explored extensively in science fiction,
It has been.
but it's something that we need to be taking seriously.
Yeah, we need to be thinking about how to ensure that AI is aligned with our values and that it remains under human control.
It's like this really complex issue that's going to require collaboration between scientists, engineers, ethicists, policymakers,
Absolutely. We need to be working together to ensure that AI is used for good.
and that it doesn't become something that we fear or regret.
That's the key.
So I think it's fair to say that the future of AI is full of both incredible promise and potential peril.
It's a double-edged sword.
And it's up to us to shape that future,
That's right.
to ensure that AI is used to benefit humanity.
That's the goal.
Well, I think this has been a really fascinating deep dive.
It has been.
And I hope our listeners have found it informative and thought-provoking.
Yeah, I hope so too.
And if you're interested in learning more about this topic, we'll be sure to include some links in the show notes.
Definitely.
And as always, we'd love to hear your thoughts. So feel free to leave a comment or send us an email.
Yeah, let's continue the conversation.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive, please consider liking and subscribing.
Yeah, and sharing it with your friends. Thanks for listening. See you next time.